a firm believer that it's this fractional bullion banking system is going to unravel.
Hi, this is Mulder. Do you think that all this talk that we've been reading about or hearing about on the internet about, supposedly being able to bankrupt the silver shorts at like the JP Morgan silver shorts at $50 an ounce has any truth to it?
Mulder, I don't know. One of the more, remember, I'm just a regular guy. There's a certain Jimmy Stewart quality to the situation I've found myself in that I'm an ordinary man that is suddenly in a rather extraordinary situation with this blog. So I've been privy to information, I guess, in the last 4 or 5 months that I would never have thought I'd be privy to. People contacting me with not necessarily cryptic messages, but, Turd, I really appreciate what you're doing, but let me help. The hard part is the anonymity of the internet, in that how do I know real information from disinformation? And it's impossible to know. But I've had people contact me, under the auspices, if you will, of confidentiality, that have said, okay, if you vow to keep this between us, I'll tell you this. And again, you want to believe everybody, because you want to believe everybody has the best intentions of the blog at heart, and the intention of the blogger is to help people. But I do know, and I am confident, that the cartel, I guess we'll call them that, of bullion banks, the evil empire, as I refer to them as, has paid disinformation agents out there, not only in the precious metal specific media, but in the general financial media. And these disinformation agents help them to suppress demand, which helps them in their efforts to suppress price. So, given that, how do I then try to decipher information? And getting back to your question, Mulder, there are people out there that will tell you that JP Morgan has this massive short position that they inherited from Bear Stearns. And so they've had to manage that, and it's only something that they've had for the last couple of years, and blah, blah, blah. And frankly, I don't believe any of it. And I've had people contact me and tell me that that's not true. That this story of the massive JP Morgan short position coming from Bear Stearns is nonsense, because Bear Stearns had a very small proprietary trading desk and had nothing to do with that. And it didn't trade silver at all. Okay, it's possible. It's possible that's not true. It's possible that information is incorrect, and that JP Morgan really did get it from. It's impossible to know. And again, like I said, that's what makes it challenging. So, can you buy, to get to the crux of your question, can you buy silver, take delivery, and crash JP Morgan? Maybe. Probably. Would that be a good thing? It's like the question earlier. Silver going up, gold's going up. Hey, we're all rolling in fiat while Rome burns. Great. Would crashing JP Morgan be a good thing? I don't know. That's why they did TARP.
Okay, well, thank you very much. That answered my question.
Okay.
Hi, Turd. Another question from me. The mainstream media is full of articles claiming that silver is a bubble, which we obviously know is not the case, at least at the current prices. In your opinion, what price threshold would silver have to cross before you would believe that A, silver has entered bubble territory, and B, the time has come to move out of a silver position into perhaps gold?
Athena, you're right. It's definitely not in a bubble. That is, you're either one of these disinformation agents that I talked about. If you read somebody purporting it to be in a bubble or on television saying it is in a bubble, like a tech stock or the NASDAQ or whatever, you're either that is a sign that this is someone I need to watch as a disinformation agent. And I don't want to believe anything they say without checking it. Or the person saying that is hopelessly uneducated about the fundamentals and is stuck with a normalcy bias that says, "Oh yeah, everything's fine, status quo. It's just like everything's just the same as it's ever been," which it's not. So yeah, you're right. No bubble. That's nonsense. What would lead me to think that there was a bubble? That is a long ways away. There are people that say, think about this one for a second. They say, well, because there are stores every place that will buy your gold from you, that's a sure sign that there's a bubble. And they are 100% wrong. The opposite would be true. If there are all these places, I buy gold, sell us your gold, that's demand for gold. That's people wanting your gold so they can take it and go sell it. Okay? That's not supply. It is when everybody wants to sell you gold. That is when there's a bubble. So I guess if we get to the point where everybody owns silver, just like everybody was in the NASDAQ or everybody was buying a house, if we get to the point where even your crazy, misfit brother-in-law comes up to you on Christmas Eve and says, "Hey, man, I got a lot of silver." You could start getting pretty nervous. When would you move out of silver in favor of gold? I can't answer that specifically. I get that question a lot too. That's along the lines of what percentage should I have and what percentage should I have in gold and in silver. And I would direct you back to you buy silver to protect your ability to purchase things, and you buy gold to protect your wealth. And I think you just continue to accumulate it because in the end, if we're all buying, I'm trading this stuff to make fiat, as I said. But if we're all buying it and holding it as insurance, at the risk of sounding smug, the fiat price doesn't matter. It doesn't. If gold's going to whatever it's going to and silver is going to, a 4-digit number, does it matter if you had 60-40 versus 40-60? No. I'm sorry. I hope that doesn't sound flippant.
Well, no, you're not flippant at all. I totally appreciate and understand what you're saying. I guess what I'd like to tease out a little bit more here is acknowledging that silver is not currently in a bubble at these prices. If silver were to hit $500 an ounce, would you think, okay, this is, even if only 2% of the population continue to hold it, which I expect to be pretty much the case, would you consider that bubble territory?
No, okay. It's not. It's bubble territory in terms of participation, because silver at $500 an ounce is only a reflection on the value of the dollar. And it will be $500 an ounce because the dollar is at a level commensurate with it being at 500. The supply of the silver versus and the value of the dollar is what's going to make it be $500 an ounce. And so a bubble implies, that the greatest fool finally bought. And that's just not at $500 an ounce. It's instead a sign that paper currency is worthless. It's not a sign that everybody has bought it. You see what I mean? I hope I'm making it clear. There's a distinction there. Does that make sense?
Yes, that did make sense. Thank you.
Okay.
Yet another question for me, and it's a little long, so please bear with me.
Hey, my answer will be even longer.
June looks to be a pivotal month for both the economy and for silver.
Yes.
At its current pace, I see, I could be wrong, I see silver most likely reaching $50 by, well, I had originally thought mid-June. Now I'm thinking by, maybe even next week. Could be as high as 60 in June. But June 30th is the date which the Fed is supposed to terminate QE2. And if that doesn't happen, especially in light of the S&P's debt warning on treasuries on April 18th, if the Fed does not end QE2, the general consensus seems to be that it will be game over for the dollar. Now, against this backdrop, some have speculated that once silver surpasses its all-time high of $50, which it hit in 1980, there won't be anything stopping it from quickly rising higher, as really nobody has purchased silver above that price to sell back into the market to cause pullbacks or significant pullbacks. So in light of all this, all of these forces converging, do you believe that June will be a watershed month for the price of silver?
God, that's a great question. You know why? Because there's like 12 questions inside the question. I almost there's so many things we have to cover inside that question that I apologize ahead. I've got to take them all one by one. Let me first though the June thing for silver. I think June is going to be it's going to be something else. Now, before I get into that, pattern would suggest, since if you were to look back at the charts, especially the recent charts, the precious metals have been moving in kind of 6-month duration moves. When I made what has now become famous would be right because the community is so small, but my famous blog entry that promised $1,600 gold by the 10th of June. I did that simply because we were at the bottom of a correction, which was predicted by the cycle. And if you were to just look forward then at the average length of the next up move from the bottom of the correction and the average percentage, you came up with a number around $1,600 by early June. So, it wasn't real complicated. That pattern would suggest that price would peak in this current move from the end of January. That price would peak and then move into a corrective and consolidative. Someone want to look that one up? Consolidation phase for about 6 to 8 weeks from the middle of June to the middle of August-ish, in there somewhere. Now, that's pattern recognition. That's that's what I do. What could disrupt that pattern is the goings on in the silver COMEX. And I guess that then gets to the crux of your question. Could June be crazy? Yes, because there will be, much like how May has turned out to be similar to February, which turned out to be similar to November. Those are the months that preceded the delivery months of December in silver, March in silver. April has turned out. I misspoke. And May in silver. The next delivery month in silver is July. It's the second biggest delivery month of the year after December. And so June has the potential to really be, if the volatility and the percentage of the move of the price of silver has increased from November to February to April. If the COMEX survives this month of May, and it probably will, June's going to be even more crazy as we approach the first delivery date for July, which will be somewhere, I don't have it in front of me, somewhere right at the end of June. So anyway, I apologize. Again,